It was truly an eye-opener for an Indian to read his book, because although I am an Indian who knows India extremely well, he has reached into the depth of India which I never knew existed. And he opened for me a country, my own country, in a manner which showed how we should go in the future in the field of education. And since I have been in education at the University of Oulu and also in different universities in India and in England, I have never read a book which was so direct, so perfect in its description of India, that when I looked at the book in India, then I went on to ask my friends in Africa and in China about their impressions of his book, and that they told me that he has been so accurate in all his reporting that I felt that somebody has to bring this book to a much greater level of perception. And that is why now I personally have sent the copies of the book to my friends in education in India, because it is probably the best way to go in the future. And that's why this book needs a tremendous amount of publicity.
What kind of an impact it can have?
A tremendous impact, because they are the forgotten people of our country. And if the government authorities and also private schools which I have been in, which are the rich private schools, if they understand that this alternate type of education is essential for uplifting the masses, where we have 60% of rural poor, then I am sure that this is the only way that we can raise the level of education in India, by reaching into the depths of our culture and society.
After reading the book, when we think about poor families and the families decide where their children are going to school, how can we reach them and inform them about this kind of possibilities?
I looked at that very carefully, and I felt that Professor Tooleyn has been doing it directly himself, but that's not a long-term strategy all over the world. What he has to do is to get to the universities in India and the socially conscious professors who are working in India, and through them they can reach a wide majority of the people who are in the field of education. And through those people who are working in the field of education, who are made aware of this level of private school education that is going on, which is a vast amount of education, I think that the level of that education can be raised through the universities and in all over India. I know that definitely in India it will work. I am not an expert on Africa or other countries, but in India it will certainly work. The bureaucrats who all come from these very good universities will also react if their alma mater is pointing out a lacuna in the system.
So how do you see the future if we are successful and this message goes through?
Oh, it's going to be a phenomenal effect on a country like India. India is already outsourcing a lot of its engineers to third countries. Like Finland, we have a huge number of Indians who are working at major institutions as Nokia, Siemens, Electrobit, the major company. And they are making a tremendous impact on Finnish society, Finnish life, and at the same time they are making a tremendous impact on back in home in India. Because when they come here, see the system, and then they look back and say, okay, what are we missing? Why is poverty still so stifling in a country like India? And then they are exposed to somebody like Professor Tooleyn's book, say, hey, that's something we should be doing in our country to educate the masses. And these youngsters who are very brilliant are not going to sit on the fence for very long seeing what has happened around them. Because as I asked Professor Tooleyn in the interview, what would be the effect if the Naxalite movement or one of the radical movements suddenly decides to exploit these people? And that could happen if we don't raise the level of education of all people of India, especially the rural poor, where there's, as I said, 60% of the people are poor. And poor meaning really poor.